Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven JavaScript video. I'm recording this on March 26th, 2013, picking up right where we left off in the last episode. What we're working on in this chapter is abstraction and design, and specifically we've been working on moving our DOM element manipulation code, specifically our event manipulation code, out into its own class, which we've called, surprisingly enough, DOM element. And we have all of our event handling code in here, and in the last episode, we finished getting tests around this, and it's really clean. I love this code. And the other thing we discovered is that we could move all of our relative positioning that calculates where the mouse pointer is on the screen. We encapsulated that entirely within DOM element as well. So now our tests and our production code, they get a relative offset, but they don't ever have to ask for it. They don't have to worry about it. So in this episode, we are going to finish this off. I'm really hoping we can get it all done in this episode because it's been kind of a long chapter. We're going to finish getting rid of all of our reliance on jQuery and just rely completely on DOM element, which of course uses jQuery. We're not trying to replace jQuery. I'm just trying to encapsulate it. Real quick, I noticed a leftover call here that we didn't need. Let's go ahead and run this. Yes, good. Now let's go back over to our client test and see if we can get rid of this old drawing area stuff. And I think the way to do that is, and because I wanted to get rid of jQuery or the jQuery leak of our abstraction, I think what I would like to do is make some new functions on DOM element that allow us to create the element, from pieces. Let's see. I think the way to do that would be to say, well, what if we wrote a function? Let's say it may be created from raw HTML. And I think the way we would do that is we'd say wewikipaint.domelement.fromHTML and then, give it what we want. In fact, I think we can just do that by doing that here. We say from HTML this way. That, of course, will fail because we don't have that function. Yep. Oh, and it's not a constructor. We want to make it a static or a class method rather than an instance method. That's going to fail. I think to make that work, though, it's just a simple matter of saying DOM element.fromHTML, and that will take HTML, and have that return new wewikipaint DOM element HTML. That should work. Oh, let's see. But except we just say function here. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's good. Now, does that allow us to get rid of this? Well, we can say now we can say, let's see. This is going to be our drawing area HTML. Now for here, when we say drawing area, we want to say wewikipaint.domelement.from HTML, drawing area HTML, hoping to be able to inline that at some point. And that just did not work at all. Why not? Oh, of course. Of course. What's happening here is that we now have two different elements. Before we had the same element, but now we've got two different elements, so we're drawing on one and not on the other. So that's not going to work. We've got to take this and approach this in a different way. What if we modify, let's see, what if we modified this to take the text, and then we said old drawing area is the drawing area dot element. We're basically poking in where we shouldn't. And by the way, that element should be private. That should work, I'm hoping. If my guess about what was happening here was right, that should work. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so now we need to have initialized drawing area take a proper drawing area. Not the jQuery drawing area, but an actual DOM element. So let's go back into here and have this be the DOM element. Let's rename this to be drawing area. And then that should still work. And this can be DOM element. And we'll pull out the actual element for passing into here. Then pass our DOM element through. This is just going to be that. This isn't even in use anymore. This is right here. I think that will work. No. Okay, let me back it up. All right, first thing, we don't need this. Yeah, let's pass through the DOM element here. I think the problem before is we didn't actually pass through the DOM element. So that should work. Here we can say drawing area equals DOM element. Still not sure about that name DOM element. I think it's going to be confusing when we want to talk about a real DOM element rather than our abstraction. And here we can say drawing area dot element. That didn't work. Oh, which is a jQuery element, so to get to the real DOM element, we have to do it that way. Yeah, there we go. And now we can get rid of that and that. Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, looking at this DOM element name is a problem. Let's rename that. Let's rename it to HTML element. Or better yet, HTML tag. Well, we'll call it HTML element, just to make it more obvious that it's ours. Okay, we're getting close now. We have not quite gotten rid of old drawing area and client test.js. But we are getting close. We're not passing it through here. We do have to append it here. What happens if we don't do that? Okay, no, we do need to append the body for sure. Let's put that back. Okay. So let's keep that for now. Let's actually add, I think we want to add an append method to our DOM element so that we don't have to pass in old drawing area here. So it handles mouse events, it handles touch events, it appends elements. How do we want to test that? I guess what we can say is we can peek into, so we can either, so what I'm thinking is that we are going to want to append an element to our DOM element here and then see if it's there. To start out with, I'm going to just try doing this. Just that should be 0, I think. Dump is not defined. Yeah, it's 0. And then if we say DOM element dot element dot append a div, then it should be 1. Yeah. Yeah, so that's how we can tell if we've successfully appended. I don't want to be really strict about this because it's not the main thing that we're doing here, and also I trust jQuery to do this, so we just need to know that we're calling jQuery. So I think what we can do is we can say DOM element dot append and then a new DOM element. And then we expect that to equal 1. That, of course, will fail because we don't have a append. Now it exists, but it should fail because we're not actually appending. Yeah, expected 0 to equal 1. And now we can say this dot element dot append element to append dot element. That should work. Good. Okay. Now that we have that, now this is a bit cheesy that our test is accessing the private data directly, but again, I think it's good enough for now. This is something that we'll probably want to clean up in the future if and when we start making the DOM element abstraction more complex, but it is good enough for now. All right, now that we've got that, we should be able to say document body dot append drawing area instead of this. And that, I'm hoping, will work. Yes, excellent. That gets rid of that. Now we need a remove function as well because of this. And I don't like that we're just repeating the jQuery API. That's not great. So, but I think it's okay for now because we will come. This is just sort of quick code. We'll come back to it later. So we want to say element to append dot remove, and then expect our children to be 0. This is a bit quick and dirty, but I think it's good enough. We'll do this. This will be remove. It's going to take no parameters. If we don't do anything, it should fail with expected 0 was 1, expected 1 to equal 0. And then we can say this dot element dot remove. There we go. Now, inside of our client test, we can say drawing area dot remove instead of old drawing area dot remove. Yes. We can say drawing area has been removed from DOM. Actually, let's just tell it to remove the draw. Let's just say dot remove drawing area. Have it remove its own darn self. Nah, I don't want to do that right now. That's more complicated than we need. But I don't think we need to pass this in. No, it doesn't take a parameter. So that should still work. And I believe that means our old drawing area is gone. Yes. There. This episode's going a little bit long, but I really want to finish this chapter off in this episode. So let's take a quick look. We've gotten rid of old drawing area. I think we have moved all of our uses of the jQuery abstraction into, yes, we've moved it all into DOM element. That is excellent. Oh, except for document body. You know, I think that is going to be okay for now. I'm going to leave that as something that could potentially be improved in the future, but really, I think we've spent enough time on this. I'm just going to make the DOM element private, and that's just going to be a little cheat of renaming it to start with an underscore to signal that it's private. That should still work. And we've moved just about all of it in there, and we're not going to do that right now. And I'll rename this real quick, just speed past it in the video. Okay, that is that. I think that brings us to the end of this chapter. So what we have done in this chapter is we've factored out all of our event handling code and other DOM element related code into a new abstraction that we've called HTML element to avoid confusion. And I think that really has helped. On fast forward, I'm just going to run through and fix up the spacing that WebStorm took out, and then we will be done. All right, that brings us to the end of this chapter. We have finished cleaning up our code. I am really, really happy with how this code has ended up. I think it's much prettier than it used to be, much simpler, and that is that. Next time we will pick up probably with modules, but perhaps not. At any rate, thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.